A few months ago, I could really not use a single line of AI-written social content on platforms like LinkedIn. Now I have 3 helpful drafts waiting for me at 7 a.m. in my Claude every single morning to work from. And the difference from back then to now is, yes, we have Fable, the models have gotten better, but mainly I've gotten better at feeding Claude fresh data it needs to make original content that sounds like me. So in this video, I'm going to go over my setup to get 3 LinkedIn drafts in your inbox every morning. So let's dive in. Here you can see the schedule task I have set up in Claude. The easiest way to set up a scheduled task if you don't want to go through the process yourself is actually just start a new chat and tell Claude you want to set up a recurring task. We have some instructions here, a folder it's working from, the time repeats every day at 7, and the steps to using the fresh data is always automatically approved. Now, I'm going to go through the instructions and how I make this work. So I'm going to have everything in the description box below for you to copy and just insert your own things in placeholders where you need to put your own personal touch. So this is from the perspective of course, my situation. I am the founder of Octolens, a social listening tool for the agent era, and want 3 helpful posts every morning. So we'll skip some of the top here. It'll all be in the description, but rather I want to go through the steps. So we have context that Claude can pull from every single day. And these are in my Claude folder on my desktop that this recurring task has access to. And what I am asking Claude to check in every run is our company context. These are all markdown files, which includes our brand voice and our positioning. It also has a customer MD file, and that means ICP, personas, customer quotes. Next, we have a product MD. Our features, use cases, roadmap includes our public docs. Next, we have more on the personal side, a personal context summary. So this is some information about me coupled with the next item, Charlotte full transcript is what it's called. So what I did here, make Claude interview you. Tell Claude, I want you to ask me questions for about, I think mine took about an hour, about my background, about how I came to founding Octolens, what led me there, some personal anecdotes, and then transcribe that whole interview you just did on voice mode into a transcript with insights. So here already Claude can pull quotes, personal anecdotes, which even though I'm posting out of the hope to grow my business, posts on LinkedIn, other social media sites, we all know thrive on some personal anecdotes here and there to do well. Then I have another important part, my posts. So my post history. Here I have one MD file with all the posts I've ever posted. That can give Claude, of course, some useful information to repost sometimes, repurpose something, but then also not to repeat things you've already done, especially close in the past. I'll also show you how you can keep that updated. So the step 1 is really context, MD files that live on my folder. You have the job also to keep these fresh. So they're the standing files, but of course, if your ICP changes or you have some more cool personal story you want to add to the transcript, you need to keep these updated. So these folders, they're not updated every day, but they're fresh, depending on which one, every couple of days or weeks or months. So I'm going to actually skip to step 3 and then explain step 2 in a sec. So pull fresh material. This is heavily based on or completely based on MCPs. And here are the ones that I use. Maybe you have some other ones which will be useful for your context. So my favorite actually is the Granola MCP. So the last several days of calls, I ask Claude to look at, was there something interesting in customer demos? Was there something interesting in a team meeting? These are amazing sources to find out what's actually going on, what's fresh, things that I haven't even thought of. I just said it in a call yesterday to a colleague, might be a really great post. And I also make sure to say, anonymize everything. I'm not doing any names. It's in the prompt. Next is the Octolens MCP. So Octolens is a social listening tool. It's my product, so take that with a grain of salt. But what it essentially does, it looks for all the posts that contain the keywords that I track, Octolens, competitors, industry terms, and sees if there's interesting material for a social post. Maybe a cool industry news item came up, or a competitor launched something interesting. That can be great for posts as well. Next, we have the linear MCP, which I also love. So Claude knows what tickets in linear did we move from in progress to done, or did we add to our board, which, let's say, yesterday we shipped the Octolens CLI. Great post. It'll probably suggest that for me the next day. So we have that product context that's very fresh, not just from the docs, because we know sometimes they don't get updated right when a feature is done. The next steps will help you to check for repetitions and have some more rules. I won't go into the details here. There's things you can adjust for yourself. So I'll also add those repos in the description, but I run 2 skills, which I think are great, a stop-slop skill and a humanizer skill, which obviously takes out M-dashes, any other big offenders, so I don't need to go super into these details in this prompt. These skills help do that. If I go look at my recurring task, we can go into today. And here's an example of my posts. Post 1. This is actually a drawing from Granola. I'm getting married this week. And it's saying, okay, maybe post about that. How does that impact your team structure for the week? Because you're a team of 2, how will you handle that? Another one, this is around using an MCP and API more than the UI and the product. This comes from a demo call. And lastly, here, 1 in 6 relevant brand mentions has buy intent on Reddit. This is being pulled from the Octolens MCP. It might be super interesting for my audience. So then I have 3 great posts to work from. And I likely choose post 3, and I will never post it as is. I will always go over, always make edits. So what this does really well is give me 3 great ideas. I don't have the cold start problem, and I always still add my tone of voice because that's always going to make a post perform better on socials. All right, like I said, everything in the description from the prompt to the skills that I use here, as well as links to the MCPs that help. You can play around with other MCPs, pulling in fresh data and insights, and set this up for yourself.